Here on YouTube, far left-leaning channels will go through life under a lot of fire. However, there is one topic that their rivals have shied away from criticizing. With the exception of forcing homosexual agenda on people, there have been so few YouTubers who have expressed opposition to many LGBT achievements. I myself tend to shy away from LGBT issues on this channel as liberals freely touch this subject. I've said this in the past. I do not believe in discriminating or persecuting homosexuals. It is their life, let them live it the way they want. But what I will not stand for is the notion of LGBT groups making their practices suppress heterosexual ones. Here on social media, if one were to simply state that they don't support same-sex marriage, even if it's not hostile to gays, liberals are the ones who would bombard it with severe opposition.
Now, Toronto anchorman Damien Goddard was fired from his job on Sportsnet after tweeting in support of a hockey agent called Todd Reynolds, who tweeted out criticism of a hockey player supporting gay marriage. You guys follow me? Good. Anyway, Damien tweeted out saying, "I completely and wholeheartedly support Todd Reynolds and his support for the traditional and true meaning of marriage." Now, this drew a lot of anger from supporters of gay marriage, and Sportsnet soon released a statement saying they had let him go because he was not the right fit for their organization. This ended up sparking an even bigger debate online about whether or not people should be fired for expressing different opinions that go against their employer's opinions. What do you guys think of this one?
That's what I really despise. It's like they can police your opinion on LGBT issues and other SJW channels aren't counterattacking. As a person who also shies away from talking about these issues, I'm going to take a step. Meet the channel Superwoman, a comedic YouTuber who has some very liberal opinions and usually doesn't force it on people. There are exceptions, such as her geography class for racists, which is really cringy and I plan to respond to. One of her newest videos struck me as a goldmine of criticism, and I was right. It's quite easy to say that it's nothing for a channel of 500 subs to go after one with 13 million subs, but hey, it'll make me feel better.
Then press this button.
For starters, let me just say that I should accuse this woman of brownwashing since Zora Kal-El, aka Superwoman from the DC Comics, is white, but hey, that isn't the topic of today's video, so let's get to it.
The internet is so great, isn't it? Connecting the world, allowing us to stalk our exes that we miss, giving us memes, bringing us closer to Beyonce. But imagine being so salty that you use the internet to target people and spread hate.
Ah yes, the old hate speech argument, whose only purpose is to target people even though liberals do the same.
Take this chick for example. "I'm sick and tired of this gross gay people, like stop. Marriage is for men and women. Disgraceful beep. What's next? Go see a doctor, you beep." Now beyond the spelling mistakes, I see an angry person behind a screen that needs help. So let's help them in real life. Therapy's in session.
Do you hear that, people? Zora Kal-El is now a certified therapist, and just as how homosexuality used to be considered a disease that was usually treated with electric therapy, well, simply believing that same-sex marriage isn't okay is worthy of a therapy session itself. Let's get right to it.
So, tell me what's on your mind.
Gay people bother me.
Is it because they dress better than you?
Because they're destroying the planet.
Uh-huh, interesting. I thought that was plastic bottles. Silly me.
Well, plastic bottles are destroying the planet, but at the same time, screaming "die, cis scum" is a pretty scary thought about how the world would look. Okay, for the next few minutes they're going to talk about religion. Now, I don't oppose same-sex marriage because of religion, so I'm going to move on to the parts about nature.
Marriage has always been between a man and a woman.
And voting used to only be between a white man and the government. Things changed.
But that's not why marriage was created.
And that's not why the eggplant emoji was created, but if you look at your last text,
That's different.
said one of your eyebrows to the other.
Because I need to protect the institution of marriage.
Wow. How Ned Stark of you. Can you explain how you are protecting marriage by forbidding people who are genuinely in love from getting married?
Oh, I agree entirely. I've got an idea. Why don't I marry my cat since we love each other? Considering that all people who love each other should get married, why can't I spend the rest of my days with my Steven in matrimony? Or why can't this guy marry his car?
Why exactly does gay marriage bother you so much when it doesn't affect you at all? Are you bored?
Doesn't affect me. Well, when you have homosexuals wanting to take over the concept of marriage by telling straight people why they shouldn't have children, when gays start claiming that they'd be better parents than straight people, when transsexuals, who are basically homosexuals, say that men must marry and find them attractive, when transsexuals claim that they want to, quote, rub their dicks in our faces until we like it, then I think I know why it will affect me. So let me say why I personally don't support gay marriage and how it does affect us all. For starters, marriage is a comprehensive union between a man and a woman in an exclusive lifelong relationship. In terms of content, marriage is a union of the will, of the body, ordered towards procreation, and the broad sharing of family for the wider community. In other words, it is about partnership, procreation, and the promotion of the family. And because marriage normally results in a family, and families are the building blocks of society, that is why the government will take an interest in the legislative and licensing of marriage. Now, it is obvious that there are various types of relationships that are meaningful to people, but marriage between a man and a woman is unique because of the reasons I mentioned earlier. To go into consequences, well, there are a few, but the main one being is that it will devalue marriage. When you throw out the idea that marriage can just be a union that anyone can make with anyone for any reason, you can allow the same arguments for other cases such as incest or zoophilia. Another reason is the impact it would have on children, which I will get to later on in the video. While governments can protect the rights of same-sex partners, marriage that results in the nuclear family will always be unique.
I don't get it. If you want to protect marriage, why don't you protest against divorce? I mean, I don't think that's a good idea, but I'm just really trying to understand your obsession.
I am not obsessed, you little.
You know, swearing really makes your point more valid.
You are such.
Okay, this part is meant to be comedic.
Move down, move down, move down.
You know, gay couples can't even bear children.
Oh, okay, really? Well, neither can infertile women and guys with low sperm count. Why aren't you being a Twitter gangster against them?
May I also remind you, infertile people are still people in heterosexual relationships where there is at least some chance through surgery or medication where they can be made fertile for a child. Homosexuals have absolutely no chance of becoming childbearing whatsoever.
If everyone was gay, there would be no humanity.
And if everyone was a potato, there would be no humanity. But everyone is not a potato, just as everyone is not gay, young grasshopper. If everyone was a potato, there would be no humanity. If everyone was a potato, there would be no humanity.
If everyone was a potato, there would be no humanity.
Also, there's about 153 million orphans in the world right now. Might be good to adopt.
Well, I'd be okay with Superman's cousin adopting children, as long as it's outside the West. The vast majority of orphans are on these continents. Instead of telling people in our societies to adopt them, why don't you tell the families from these continents to adopt them, since their birth rates have to be lowered so that we won't suffer the risks of overpopulation? But that would be racist, wouldn't it? I bet you'd call them over to join your geography class for a little discussion.
Okay, but gay couples will raise gay kids.
Oh, right. Yeah, you mean like how a whole bunch of straight parents raise gay kids.
I've never seen straight people intentionally raising their kids to be gay, but that's not the case with gay wannabe parents. Now, I mentioned that I would talk about this subject, and it will piss off a lot of people, but here's the truth. A child needs both a mother and a father. Just like how single parents are more likely to see their kids become bad eggs, children with gay parents will also experience several problems, such as sexual confusion, trust issues, disciplinary issues, and other emotional problems. I linked some very thorough studies in the description below. But the point is, gay companions cannot replace the mothers and fathers of who procreated them. A true-born man cannot be a mother since he lacks the warmth of one, which is important for unconditional love. Only a real mother can do that, and a true woman cannot be a father, as she can't provide the disciplinary and safety feeling that a father has. And this is only one problem. The other problem is how many homosexuals will have child abuse and pedophilia tendencies towards children. I'm not saying that most homosexuals are pedophiles, but there is a disproportionate amount of child abuse cases on one side. The astonishing ratio between homo to hetero pedophile activity is 11-1. This has been shown in many studies throughout the United States, and other Western countries have similar data. To deny this would be to deny statistics. Allowing LGBT parents will only make it easier for children to be exposed to these horrific acts that they wish to teach children.
I think that anyone can do what they want in life. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. If you want to be a drag queen and your parents don't let you, you need new parents. If you want to be a drag queen and your friends don't let you, you need new friends.
All right, boys and girls and everything in between, stop what you're doing because tonight we're with the fabulous Lactatia. How are you?
I am sorry if this upsets some people, but the rights of children prevail over the rights to have children as addressed by the United Nations.
Stop bullying me. I am entitled to my own opinion. This isn't fair.
I am so sorry that you are a victim of bullying. That combined with your awful grammar must be very hard. But your opinion and similar ideas contribute to actual laws being made against gay people.
I've always wondered if Krypton has democracy since Zora Kal-El is so opposed to it. Let me be clear. People have the right to elect the people they think will set the best policies. You cannot nullify a democratic vote because it didn't go your way or censor people who disagree with you so they can't vote. Democracy is a virtue of the Western world and it doesn't always go your way. That's what you need to accept.
So if you have an opinion about pineapple on pizza, I don't care. But it's illegal to be gay in some countries. Imagine if the government took away your right to be yourself. However would you douchebag about?
So I've noticed that Superwoman enjoys insulting people in her quest to gain progress, just like the regressive left in general, but this part really puts the icing on her Kryptonian ignorance. A YouTube named Kraut made a very good video presenting how gays are treated in the Islamic world, which I left a link to in the description below.
In Iran, gays and lesbians face a choice. They can either attempt to keep their sexuality a secret, risk being caught and face execution, or report their desires to a government official. I have often seen Islam apologists and social justice warriors praise Iran's system of government funding for sex change operations. However, what these people either don't know or willfully choose to ignore is that these sex changes are used as a means of gay conversion therapy in Iran. Meaning, if you are a gay man, you have the choice of living with your sexuality and risking the death penalty or being forced into transitioning to a woman. As a lesbian, you have the choice between living with your sexuality and risking execution or being forced into transitioning to a man. Gender transitions are used as a means to clamp down on gay rights in Iran. The death penalty in Iran is carried out by hanging without a drop. Hanging with a drop is when the victim is dropped through a trap door with a noose around their neck, resulting in the severing of the second and third vertebra and a quick death. In Iran, the noose is tied around the victim's neck and the victim is then slowly levitated on that rope, causing the weight of the body to slowly put pressure onto the neck and slowly strangling the victim to death. Death can take 1, 2, or even 4 hours as the victim struggles with the body to relieve the pressure from the throat, resulting in burns and abrasions on the neck. On occasions, the victim might also grind out their own teeth or bite off their own tongue or lips due to the intense pain. All of this takes place publicly under the eyes and gleeful cheering of Allahu Akbar by a crowd gathered together to watch someone being slowly tortured to death merely because of who that person loves.
The fact that liberals like her would compare some individual doing nothing more than tweeting on social media to these countries is so blatantly inaccurate that it is simply insulting.
It's just unnatural.
So are your boobs, eyelashes, and highlights. You don't get to decide what's natural, contour queen.
Well, that's true. Individuals don't decide that. Nature decides that. One of the key aspects of life is to reproduce. And guess what? Homosexuals cannot reproduce. The entire point of sperm and egg cells is to connect so that another organism can grow out of it. The main genitals of both genders have certain characteristics that allow intercourse with each other. The other parts of the body do not. For example, in order for anal to be pleasurable, one must first do a multitude of steps and actually use material that isn't produced by the body to engage in it safely. Every sexologist and medical professional will tell you that it requires preparation and additional steps. I often see people use the excuse that animals can be homosexual to point out that it's natural, but what they don't understand is that animals can suffer the same mental and emotional problems that humans can. That doesn't make it natural. Homosexuality is a deviation from nature. No one is saying that it is a bad deviation or that it must be eradicated, but it is still a deviation.
Oh, I'm sorry, were you talking? I was busy tweeting.
Here's what I think the problem is. You feel entitled to such an extent that you think you can dictate people's lives. You and everyone else that's gonna leave a hate comment underneath this video.
What a lovely coincidence, because SJWs do the exact same thing. Even Superwoman does it.
I love Oreo cookies, I love Indian Chinese food, I love Bob Marley, and if I ever met a Punjabi Italian mixed guy, my ovaries would explode. I personally have no problem with interracial dating, you know, I don't find anything wrong with it. That's not to say that if you disagree with me, you're wrong, you're just different, that's cool, but I just don't understand you or why you would have a problem with that. Like, you might as well be calculus, because I'm just looking at you and I'm like, schmur?
So we learned that Zora Kal-El needs to understand that disapproval of same-sex marriage does not mean that you're some Nazi who wants to go on a witch hunt for them. I recently heard that the political divide is getting wider, so this kind of message needs to become more evident. It also needs to be out there more so that we can have a better balance here in the West.